If you guys haven't noticed already, we have Coach Cam in the building.
Yes.
Coach Cam. I'm excited about this one.
Yes.
Because I've been stalking your IG for years. I mean, I think if anyone is been on Instagram, you've popped up on their Explore page.
Oh,
For sure.
At least once or twice. I mean, obviously, you're great at what you do with the mitts.
Thank you.
I always love watching the videos with the kids. We were kind of talking about that.
The kid videos are my favorite.
Shout out Arian.
Yeah, I know you would, but you're bad.
I love it.
But with every great successful story, there's always like a backstory to it. So I've been intrigued by you since the first time I saw your video. For one, you are a female in a predominantly male-dominated sport. We've had another female boxing coach on here too, and she's kind of talked about her trials and tribulations. But there's so much to unravel with you, you know. So I kind of want to start with, like, how did you even get your start into boxing?
Oh, you guys want to start with the sad portion of my story?
Because you're from the Philippines.
Yes,
And then
I
you
am.
came here originally, and you were a
dancer.
dancer for Miami Heat.
Yes.
So how did that whole transition? Let's start from the beginning.
I was a dancer / going to nursing school
Filipino
for
way.
my mom's pipe dream.
Mom's
And
dream.
that didn't work out because I was in clinicals and I gave somebody the wrong medication and it clicked. Like, I was like, hey, yo, mom,
This ain't for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill somebody. Like, for real. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. And I'm glad I didn't, because when COVID hit, they was calling everybody. But and then I also was a sales associate. I was actually a manager at Coach in Ontario Mills.
Oh.
Coach, you know, handbags.
Yeah.
So, but in the midst of all that, I was in a relationship. I'm pretty sure everybody already knows this story. I was getting abused and I wanted an outlet to help give me some type of power. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, right? But it's the truth. Like, I felt like I was losing power in the relationship that I was in, and I wanted to gain it back. And what better way than to go to such a pugilistic sport like boxing?
Right.
So you could beat his ass back. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Guarantee you he won't look me in the eye now.
Right.
So
I mean, did you, and this is like, do you remember that movie with Jennifer Lopez?
Yes.
Enough?
Yes.
Oh, dog. I don't know how many times I hear that. You're like J-Lo.
Yeah.
You're like, no, not really. She killed him. She killed him. I didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
Right.
It might have happened allegedly.
Disclaimer.
Allegedly.
Right.
No, so you got into it in a crazy way. You got into it just to build, I guess, more self-confidence.
Yes.
Because that's one thing like fighting does. You know, when I started doing boxing training as well, you kind of know, like, okay, there's a lot of fundamental things that the regular person doesn't know, like footwork, and everyone's trying to go for that knockout blow. People don't understand range and stuff. And that's one thing that I was like, oh, I feel like I got to up on a lot of people. But it also makes you, I guess, calmer about it, where you're not trying to like be so machismo, because you know, like, I could defend myself.
Right.
So it does add a level of confidence to where you were at.
So being in that abusive relationship, that's kind of what drove you to pick up boxing. But did you pick that up because you wanted to defend yourself against him? And why not just have took yourself out of that relationship? And I know it's easier said than done for a lot of us, but I think just there's probably so many people who can relate to being in that.
Right.
And how did you take your, like, you know, what was the reasons why you didn't remove yourself from the situation, and why you chose violence instead to fight back?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? What?
I think it was more so, if I knew how to defend myself, then I would, if that situation presented itself again with any other man,
Right.
then now I know, oh, you ain't gonna do that to me. Because at the time when it was happening, I was scrawny.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, like I was just like letting him hit me. And I was like, yo, Cam, something's gotta give. And my son actually was over one time, and that was the last time that man ever put his hands on me again. To see my son like look at me like this, like, yo, is this normal? I don't care how young your child is. He's looking at me like, yo, mom, like, this man is hitting you. So is it okay if I grow up and I hit women too?
Right.
So that was the turning point for me. So,
And it's great because you're looking at the aspect of like you're raising a man yourself. Your son just
Right.
graduated high school.
Right.
So setting an example, if that would have continued, and thank God it didn't, that would have been the norm, is abusing women would have been, oh, that's, I've seen that go on. And so that's the norm. So I like that, especially as a boy mom, you understand the importance of like raising men the same way, like as a girl dad understands about raising a female in any industry. They have to be a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
So kind of, how long did you box for before you actually felt confident enough to like start training people on mitts? Because that's what you're famous for. The mitt game is crazy.
The mitt game.
Good question. I want to say like 2 or 3 years. I was sparring. I was doing like little smoker shows.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then the guy that I was training with, he was like, hey, run this women's class real quick. So I see all types of women and I'm like, what am I supposed to, what am I supposed to do with them? Because I'm busy working on myself, right? So then I go, oh, okay, whatever. So I'm training them. And at the end of the class, a lady comes up to me and she goes, I don't know what it is, Coach Cam, but you got me wanting to do this every day. Now I want to find myself too. How do I find myself? So then the small snowball of that turned into who I am now. So,
and it helped build your confidence in it too, right?
for sure.
Now, have you ever physically bucked somebody? Or were you just doing it for
sparring.
training?
Yeah, I was sparring. Yeah.
I mean,
in the
sparring-
streets too, yes.
Yeah, in the streets too.
Allegedly.
Sparring, yes.
Yeah.
So when you, and again, we kind of talked about it off camera, but like I remember seeing you at a gym in Upland, and you were killing it over there. That's where I first saw you. In this industry, everybody knows each other: boxing coaches, fighters, and stuff like that. So I want to talk about like the growth that you had in business. So have you seen a substantial growth from when you were in the Upland location to where you're at now?
Yes.
And what would you attribute a lot of that to?
Information boxing wise, absolutely. When I first started holding mitts, I was just a mitt holder. And I don't mean that in a bad way for anybody that does it. We all have our hustle, right? But when I met Brandon, the guy that I own the gym with now, he goes, yo, Cam, if you want to train professionals, you want to create world champions, you got to switch your mitt game up. The mitts that you used to do can't be translated in a fight. You got to figure that out. It doesn't make sense here what makes sense in the ring. So I had to switch it. Like I had to literally take my brain. Now I'm watching boxing every day. Now I'm watching my boys spar. Now I'm trying to figure out, yo, do you roll after that hook or do you pivot after that hook? These are things that I never would think of before. Now I am. So it changed a lot as far as my knowledge in boxing goes. Yes.
Were you a big boxing fan prior to this?
A Manny Pacquiao fan.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like that you said Pacquiao.
Oh, damn, my accent came out. My bad, y'all. Yeah, that's my mama right there.
So, I mean, I have a coach as well, so I kind of understand. The first coach I had was it was mitts. It was more like, it's like you said it in a post before. It's like a dance, like a waltz, right? So for the people that are listening that don't quite understand, kind of go into the difference between like the mitt work that's a flashy and the mitt work for someone that's getting ready to fight.
Right.
What's the difference?
What's the big difference? The calmness of it all. The calmness of it all. It's a lot of mitts. Like I've seen a video that I also did where you're throwing like 16 uppercuts. Realistically, you're not going to be able to throw 16 uppercuts in a fight. You got to place your punches correctly. You got to figure out, unless dude is like
more strategy to it.
Yes, unless dude is half asleep and you're like, just like, going at it. It doesn't work that way. It's the calmness. It's the learning to step and the learning to when to pivot. And, it's a lot. It's literally such a science. And it's a dance. It's the most violent dance anyone has ever seen.
Because it's not only physical, it's mental too.
Exactly.
You're literally working those muscles in your brain.
Right. And think about it. You got to have 17 million plans ahead of your opponent. Yep. It's like a video game. If this weapon doesn't work, what weapon do I choose next? If that weapon doesn't work, what weapon do I choose next? Now I'm trying to set weapons and traps around the ring so that you can fall into my plot.
Right.
At the same time, while you're thinking about this, you getting hit. Yeah.
So. And that's like the highest level. Like that's so those of you guys that are listening, that's like that's people that are either fighting now. Like perfect example of that was the last fight, the Lomachenko Haney fight. Like you can see the traps that were being set, you can see the footwork, and like until you've actually like done a certain amount of boxing, you don't really understand. So like a lot of our audience that probably haven't done boxing, it is a dance in a sense, but it's also knowing where your foot placement has to be, a range and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll get into the fight because I know you had a big opinion about that. But so a podcast that I did listen to that you were on, you kind of talked about how you flourished during COVID. We always get people on here and they're usually business owners.
Most people.
Yeah.
I myself am a gym owner and I did not flourish during COVID. But I survived. So I'm a survivor.
There you go.
You grew roots and a tree and you flourished. So
You flourished internally.
yeah. So kind of talk about if you had any difficulties or what do you think attributed the fact that you grew so much during COVID?
I didn't even act like COVID existed. I didn't act like COVID existed. They were like, yo, coach, people aren't going to be in your gym because of COVID. And I said, yeah, they are. What is COVID going to stop people from learning to defend themselves? That don't make no sense to me, you know? So I before I got the building, like I said, I was going from gym to gym. I was even training in parking lots. Wasn't nothing going to stop me. Not COVID, not Santa Claus, not Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even really think about COVID. I didn't think about, and plus I was training people at a reasonable price because I know people weren't working. So it's just more so like, I don't even really know how to explain it. Like I don't listen to like the negative aspect of everything.
Just like problem solving.
Yeah, like I'm just like, Coach Cam, COVID's coming. Who is that?
Right.
What that got to do with me? I'm not sick.
Yeah.
You know, even when I was sick, I was still working. Not when I had COVID. I mean, obviously,
Let that go. Yeah.
I was home, but you know what I mean? Like if I was
Quarantine.
feeling, right, like I was quarantining myself, but nothing was stopping me.
I mean, did you have anybody like? I mean, I'm pretty sure social media you had people like sending you. I don't want to say death threats, but like I'm going to report you to the city. What you're doing is you had none of that.
No, nothing. But I was getting death threats though.
You were getting death threats.
Yeah, because apparently I'm not a good coach. It's one of two things. I'm not a good coach. I should go die or kill myself. Or two, if I don't marry somebody because they're so in love with me, they're gonna come and kill me.
Oh, so you had like crazy.
Oh
like,
yeah.
stalkers.
I got men sending me social security numbers and for real.
Are you talking about like right now or during COVID?
No, just it period.
Period.
Just like period.
Holy.
Wow. Women are crazy. Men are.
No, men are they're crazy.
But they send you actual death.
Yes, yeah.
Like on Instagram DMs and stuff.
Instagram when my phone number was on my Instagram, now I don't think it is. I would get phone calls like, I'm gonna kill you, like Coach Cam, I love you. And I'm like, how can you be so contradicting? You want to kill me, but you love me. Like, who are you? Who is this person?
Does any of that stuff ever worry you though?
Yeah, I have a bodyguard.
You have a bodyguard?
You have to.
Yeah.
So you're at a level to where you need a
She got
bodyguard
bodyguards.
to be with
She
you.
got
Like, I mean, at the
guards.
gym, I mean, do people just pull up? Like, obviously, the gym location's there, and
They know where you're at.
Yes, they do.
like fans, and they
Yeah,
just-
I get packages that I don't open first. Like somebody got to open that box first.
No.
Like, so if it blows up, you blown up. Well, like I don't know. They're
it's
like,
not
Cam, it's
happening.
just some flowers, bruh. And I'm like, I don't know that.
And then what's on those flowers?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of criminal masterminds don't smell the flowers or anything like that. That's insane. And do you think that's just because you are like a woman, like a female in the industry? Do you think do you know guys that get the kind of that same response that you get?
No, not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think also too, I mean, this may be my fault. When I do mitts, it's not like I look like a butch. Like my hair is flowing, my nails are done. I'm
Right.
shit, you know.
You look cute.
The ra-cha-cha.
You look
Like,
cute.
you know what I mean? So apparently to the men's eye, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy to see a woman who's not so manly do a manly sport.
Right.
Do you feel like you get also the opposite, like men who like hate on you because you are a female dominating the industry?
Girl. Yeah. To all those old school male coaches out there who say that I don't have a world champion, neither do you.
Ooh.
What you talking about?
Ooh,
You get that.
Hell
So they
yeah.
really.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Boxing is a very like traditional
Of course, yep.
sport, right? So you have like what you have is you have the old heads. I guess you call them old heads, but that
Yeah.
grew up like you got to train this way, you got to do things this way. You know, you got to have a certain amount of sparring. Even now, I know like some fighters sparring, they don't really spar as much as they used to. And then you have like the new wave, you know, and not that it's any different. It's just I think you've been able to captivate people on social media where the old heads. They don't understand
Yeah.
it. So they're like, wait, why does everybody love you? You're not XYZ.
Yeah.
They're just trying to tear you down because
They don't understand it.
they don't understand it really.
So I have something to say about that. So back in the day, a boxing coach's way to make money was to build a world champion. I found a way to train kids, to train regular clientele, and to build fighters at the same
There you
time.
go.
That's why they hate on me so much. They go, how does she make so much money? I'm not saying I make money. I'm just saying. How is her business booming? Because I didn't put all my eggs into one basket. Like that's the stupidest thing you could
Right.
do.
Yeah.
No,
That
that,
is
that,
right.
that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, why would you do
You
that?
stick with one guy, you make him a world champion, you get signed by a
My
Golden
son.
Boy or
And then what
whatever it
happens
is.
when it's gone? Then
yeah, right. And then especially when you're building amateurs, there's a block there where you're building them, and then now guess what? They don't have to stay with you in their professional career. They
Right.
can leave you.
Yep.
I don't have time for that. I don't have time to be heartbroken. Plus, again, my son got to eat. So
How did you get into start training children? Because you got a lot of kids that you coach and train. Those are my favorite videos. But how did you get into that?
well, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
So that came naturally. I've always trained kids. Even when I was just doing like flashy mitts,
Yeah.
I'd look at 5-year-old and go 1 2 1 2, and he'd be like, okay, But now kids are honestly where the growth is for everything,
Right.
for business, for yourself, for them. So it's a lot of kids getting bullied nowadays too. The stories that I hear, I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, yo, didn't bullying end in like 1986? Like, what the heck is going on, dog? Like, why are you still bullying each other? Like, I had a mom, she goes, my 3-year-old's being bullied. By another 3-year-old? What could a 3-year-old possibly do to another 3-year-old?
Right.
Like, what is that? Apparently, they're throwing crayons at each other. I'm like, yo, it starts at home for me. Like, some of the kids that I train, they don't even listen to their parents. Guess who they listen to?
You.
Me.
Well, I think parents aren't taking ownership on that.
Exactly.
Right.
Parents aren't saying it's starting at home. No, they're saying, "Oh, this happened at school," and now, no, what's happening at your house that you can't admit?
Right.
How are you disciplining?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So no, that's I love that. I love what you said about kids and kind of going back to what you said is you have a solution for a problem that I think a lot of people don't, like the old school boxing heads. Like anyone that's ever boxed, I know Marissa, you've boxed like mitts and stuff like that. Once you get a taste of it, it's so addicting.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even the fact that you're training people just for a fight. Some people just want to feel that, to be able to hit the
Yeah.
mitts.
Oh,
you
there's
know?
nothing like there's nothing like
there's
it.
nothing like
Yeah.
there's nothing
There's
like
something having a bad day and then just like
yeah,
Right.
Hitting that mitt.
and again, it was hard to find like I train Ryan Garcia, but I'll help you with your little kid with the mitts. Like there's always a disconnect,
Yeah.
and I think you filled that void, and you were also able to successfully put that on Instagram,
Yep.
and then people love kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so then it just got shared and viral. At what point in your career, when you started really taking off, where you're like, holy shit, this is
booming.
like I'm viral, like this is going crazy.
Still till today.
You
I
don't
can't
think so?
believe it. No. Yeah.
What was the moment when it happened that you were like, oh damn, I'm really popping on social media?
It's actually not a kid. It was that big dude that was hitting
Oh, yeah.
the body shield on
and
me.
you were just taking it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that guy is huge. And I was like,
And they were
like, and I take shit personal. I know you can't take shit personal, but I'd be like, yo, like I'm, you
Yeah.
took all, like, that's crazy. Even me, I watched it probably about 10 times just today because it's crazy.
You guys got to know too, in that 10-second clip, there's 30 takes that no one sees. So he hit me to the body for at least a good 30 minutes just so we could get the right take.
And did you
took
did
that shit.
and he go like, hey, I'm gonna really let you have it?
No, they're very respectful. My fighters, they're just like, yo, Coach Cam, listen. And I'm like, yo, just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
We got to do this for the gram. And I know that sounds,
It's just the reality of
the
it.
reality.
yeah,
Just let's
like
be
this
real.
is,
Business.
yeah, that's my business card.
No, I mean I don't. When you hear do it for the gram, unless you actually use Instagram to make money, you won't understand that.
Yeah.
You'll
Right,
think
right.
you'll think it negatively. Like when we
Yeah.
hear it, like, oh, we say it all the time, like, hey, I got to do this for the gram. We got
Yeah.
to
That's
reach
how
like
your
this.
business
Yeah.
is, though. Nowadays, that's business. That is your business. Your business is your Instagram. Like, that's how you're,
Yeah.
But I think it's also important too, like with your fighters, they understand that like you're all in. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna really go. You know, even though they're respectful, those hits were. It didn't seem like he was holding back.
No.
But
No.
also for you, I mean,
Not
it's
at
a tough sport. So like you can't have you as a coach, like, okay, don't hit me that
Right.
hard.
Yeah.
Because if you're training him for a fight, he's not gonna hold back. So it's
Exactly.
important for you to gain respect from them by saying like, hey, look, this shit's gonna hurt, and I know it, but for the gram, let's
and
unload.
so interesting because you came from like, not that it has anything to do with it, but obviously you came from an abusive relationship, so you had men beating on you, and now you're doing it, but like by
What a twist of events.
Yeah.
That's very true. I got asked that too one time, and I was just like, well, I can't even really translate that. It's kind of strange that's the case. But it's empowering to me. Because I'm
That's what I
choosing
wonder.
to train
You control the
fighters.
situation.
Yeah,
Now.
I'm not telling my
You're
ex
the strong one at this point.
Yeah, I didn't tell my ex fiance, yo, beat me with this bat real quick, and then let me cry for 6 hours. You know, I am the one in control at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So it's more liberating at this
Yes.
this stage.
And now you're empowering young girls, women who are maybe in similar situations or don't want to be in that situation, and you're giving them their power,
Right.
Which is amazing.
yeah.
So obviously, I go through all your stories, and from the moment you wake up, you're training clients.
Yeah.
Till sometimes 10, 11 p.m. I feel like
Yes.
you're doing something. Where do you find time for yourself amongst all the things that you do? Because obviously, you know, starting from when you immigrated here from the Philippines, you did dance. You know, you were in an abusive relationship, you got out of that. Have you found time for yourself to really like sit down and really reflect on like how far you've come, and do you try to find time throughout the day for yourself now?
Now I do. Yeah. Before I didn't, especially when we first opened the business. It was very hard, but now I do. But it takes like a second, like, oh God, you know, cool. And then like I got to go back to doing what I'm doing, because the wheels of that gym turn because of me. I don't have a team. It's me and Brandon, and that's it. And because I'm more business savvy, because I worked in retail. I really don't have time to. I don't think I do.
No. Okay. Let me.
Karate. You said karate.
Oh, yeah,
is your-
so I'm taking karate.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cobra Kai. Yeah, but I did that for peace of mind. But even then, like, I found myself, like, my sensei was like, crisscross applesauce. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there with my legs crossed. And in my mind, like, he's talking to me. But in my mind, I'm like, who owes bills today?
Yeah, you're still thinking
Who's fighting tomorrow? What do I got to do at 6 o'clock? And I'm like, dude, Cam, you got to find some type of balance.
Yeah.
No, and that's the reason why I ask you, because like as a business owner to business owner,
Yeah.
like we when I first opened the gym, I worked 7 days a week. Like there was no stop. Like my wife just had our baby. I was like, hey, I have to go. So it took me, God, 3 years to like, I need to take some time for myself, because then I've found myself getting burnt out, like, you know, doing so many things. So I'm always curious to see, especially you're like another level though, social media wise. I mean, you're training fighters. You're actually.
From our kitchen to yours, this episode is brought to you by Meals by Mill. Enjoy healthy, delicious meals right to your door every day. Use promo code MIX15 at checkout for 15% off your first order. Serving LA, Inland Empire, and Orange County areas. Order today.
Out there all the time. So I wondered if there was something you did. Yeah, and your job is physical. It's not like a trainer that is telling someone what to do. You're physically there, you know, holding mitts. So what's the biggest thing you try to do for like stress relief?
The moments I sit in my car is a good moment. When I'm driving from work and back, or to another place, even when I'm driving to Target, like that's the moment where I can actually just reflect. Or my grandpa is gone, so I talk to him while I'm in the car. He's the main person that I talk to all the time. You know, granted, sometimes I don't hear him, but the moments that I do, I feel better. You know, I know that sounds weird, but you know.
No, not at all.
But peace is basically what helps calm you, because your life is so chaotic at all times.
Right. And now I'm listening to an audiobook. I just finished Art of War.
Oh, that
that's a
book
good
is
one.
very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm in 48 Laws of Power. So while I'm driving, I'm always listening to at least 5 minutes or 10 minutes of
Yeah.
that book. So
Yeah, because I mean the stress
The Art
of
of War is good.
the stress
Strategies
of,
of life.
of running the business, but then also having your own private clientele, and then also finding time to make time for your family, you know,
And you're a
your
mom,
son,
yeah.
and you're a mom and stuff like that. So it's like every time I see your stories, I'm like, man, I got to work harder.
Well, you guys know this because you have your own gym. What people don't know is, on top of me harboring my own issues, because I'm not perfect, now I'm hearing clients and their issues. And now I got to harbor their issues on top of my own. And then I got to find a solution for them. And I'm like, yo, man, I didn't know I signed up to be a therapist. But technically, as a coach, that is, you can coach at anything, right? That's what you are. So that's also another thing. Like, when I'm in my car, I release everybody's stress, including my own. And then I have my mom and my dad, who my
Yeah.
mom still wants me to be a nurse. It's like, bro,
You're like, my time has passed.
like, did you not see me on the news? You still want me to be a nurse? And she goes, well, you know, fall back. And I was like, no, mom, I'm good. Like,
You said she calls you Coach Cam.
yeah, like I'll
love
go into her house and she'll be like, hey, honey, Coach Cam's here. And I'm like, yo, call me the name that you gave me
Yeah,
at birth, bro. Like, who's Coach Cam?
Your mom probably walks around and uses that clout. Like, do you know who my daughter is?
Yeah.
Dude, she works at Kaiser.
Oh, shit.
So apparently,
Oh, she's a person. I just
She's a
think of
nurse.
like now, like listening to your story, I think of like Joe Coy, like and his mom, how she like is
yeah,
doing-
like she's
so
like
similar.
operating on
That culture.
somebody, and she goes, "Hey, you know my daughter's Coach Cam," and it's like, "What are you doing?"
That's-
Like my dad, he works with her, so he's like, "Yo, your mom keeps talking
Your
about
dad
you
works
every
there
day."
too?
Yeah, they're both nurses, bro.
I mean, that's
Great.
That is like the Filipino dream. They come and you.
Oh my god,
I love
when
it.
you were growing up, what age did you come to the States?
I was 9.
So you were 9. So I'm pretty sure from the moment you were growing up, you were fed that you were going to be a nurse. This is what you were going to do. So like your high school version of you, looking back, like what's something that they would be proud of, like your past self would be proud about that you've accomplished now? Because obviously your trajectory of where you took your career went from wanting to be a nurse to now like owning a boxing gym in a male dominated sport. Like what's some things that you think the younger version of you would be proud of?
just me as a woman as a whole. I keep telling everybody the old me would never want to face the new me now. The old me was so meek and so shy and scary. Like I thought I was doing back then, like, but now I'm a completely different level. Like I leveled up completely. Now that I look at my old self, I let a lot of people get away with a lot of things when it came to me. Yeah. And never again. I wasn't even sure what I wanted to be when I was younger. Nor did I think I was going to be a boxing coach, but it worked out for the best. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you would never let them, you have such a more profound respect for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think all that stuff you went through is literally what brought you here. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm sorry you had to go through that. But it's like, for me, it's like you overcame that, but that kind of molded you to the person you are now. Because you wouldn't be you unless all that stuff happened. Yeah. And that's the hard part of life that even you as a mom, it's like, oh, your kid's getting bullied. And I understand to a certain extent, but it's almost like they got to figure it out somehow.
Exactly.
They got to figure it out.
Yeah.
They got to, because I'm not always going to be there. Coach Cam isn't going to be there all the time. So there has to be a point. And I think, do you have like a bigger female audience or male audience, do you think?
I think it's both.
It's both, yeah. 'Cause,
Yeah, it's like,
Diverse.
yeah. It's
because
both.
a lot of female, like when I put you on my story, a lot of females like, oh my God, I love her. I listened to her last podcast, her story. So does it make you feel, I guess, your own self-empowered that so many women know your story of the abuse and it's helping them? Like I got a couple messages from people like I was in an abusive relationship and they got into jiu-jitsu, not boxing, but they're like, I got into it because it makes me feel empowered. It's like her story was one that really inspired me. Does it give you some kind of like, I don't know, make you feel like powerful that your story helps so many people?
Yeah, no, it does. I am humbled by it though. The hard thing about when a lot of people look at you and they're watching you, you can't make any mistakes. But people don't know I'm not perfect. I mean, no one is. No. So, and I have to catch myself like, yo, when you guys talk about these kids, you're like, yo, Coach Cam, you got a lot of patience. What you don't know is I have a bottle of tequila in my office.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly. No, I'm just kidding. No, like, and I have moments where, I run into my office and I scream. Like, I'm like, dude, I cannot do this right now.
Yeah.
And everyone is watching. Like, parents are like, what's she going to do next? Oh, she's, and I'm just like, dude, stop watching me. I have my days. But yeah, that's the hard part about it. Like, everyone is like, especially when you get asked political views, religious views, I'm like, I'm not gonna,
Damn, let me take those questions.
Well, because people are just waiting, and that's just giving them another reason to just,
Yeah,
my
no.
answer is
Watch you
always,
fall off.
I am the people's coach.
Yeah.
I love any and everybody. Any and everybody is good to me.
Yeah.
Right,
That's it. I'm not gonna speak on anything regarding anybody.
right.
So, yeah, I'm surprised you guys aren't gonna ask me about the Mitt Queen.
Well, I mean, we do have an array of questions.
Oh, an array.
And that was one, because I know you and I had a phone call and prior to this, and we kind of discussed that. And I know that there is, I don't know, what do you call it? Is it a beef? Is it
Look, I've never met this woman in my life. Matter of fact, I reached out to her when I was coming up to ask her for advice. And now all of a sudden, apparently, allegedly, this is the right time to use that word.
Yep.
She don't like me. And a lot of female trainers don't like me. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know these people. Like, I don't even have time to communicate with you guys. Like, what are you talking about? And now everyone's like, Mitt Queen and Coach Cam, battle it out. Mitt Queen and Coach Cam,
Yeah.
fight. And I'm like, yo, dog, like, I'm from the streets.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not trying to, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
I just find that very unfortunate, because it's like in a time, especially today, right, where everyone's like woman empowerment, in fact, but they're still so against each other. Like, women, like, there's so many women who are like, they want like women empowerment, but yet they still are so against other women, and they hate and all these things, when really, like, especially for you two, like, you guys can probably come together and create something great.
Exactly.
Something great,
Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
and dominate.
Right.
Like, why hate? Why not just
So
collaborate?
have you ever spoken to her though, personally? Like, have you ever said, and this is the thing, this is where the waters get murky for me, because I've been through a lot of those he said, she said situations. So for me, I'm pretty sure the story didn't get fabricated out of nowhere. So I'm pretty sure she did say something to some people, or else they wouldn't. But I'm pretty sure people are telling her, hey, well, Coach Cam said this, or Coach Cam.
Yeah,
so have you guys ever sat and talked, or maybe like through DM, or would you be open to that?
I would be absolutely open to that. I think it would be dope for me and her to collab.
100%.
Are you kidding me? The world would go crazy.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was when I put you on the story, I was going to put the real Mitt Queen, but I go,
Don't be starting no issues now.
I ain't gonna start no beef. But and again, I don't really know too much about her on personal level. I've never sat down and talked to her. I'm pretty sure she has a great story as well, like
Yeah.
a lot of people do. So it is, like you said, it's very unfortunate. But I think a lot of the times that people have issues with someone that they've never met, it's one, there's some kind of jealousy issue, which is human nature.
Yeah.
I've looked at someone's IG and be like, oh, fuck this person.
Yeah, absolutely. I
But
get it.
but I have to regulate myself. But also, it's he should, she said, she should. You right?
Yeah.
Wait,
He said, she said.
No, because they're both females. So it's
Oh,
like,
yeah, she said.
if you reach out to her and she responded, and then you guys had a conversation, I almost guarantee you guys would probably be like, man, we're the same. We're the same
Yeah.
person. Like, we're the same person. You guys go through the same trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
You guys are
Same thing.
thing. So, no, I did have that on there. But again, that was like how much you want to talk about it, because I know we kind of talked about it, and I do feel it's unfortunate. And hopefully, if she's watching this, you guys could come to some kind of understanding that there's enough for both of you,
Right.
Right, because obviously you guys are both thriving. But to do a collab, imagine
Everybody
the summer,
Yeah.
summer do a collab at your gym,
Yeah.
or somewhere neutral, like on the beach somewhere. That would be
I just want to dead that. Like, I have no issue. I love what she's doing.
dead it right now. Go ahead, talk. Yeah.
No,
Go speak on it.
I love what the Mitt Queen is doing, y'all. I'm proud of her. She's the reason why I even wanted to be a coach. Granted, she has her way of coaching and I have my way of mine, but I mean, there's no two coaches alike. So,
Right.
like, what's the issue? She's a beautiful woman. You know what I'm saying? She's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing. I love what she's doing for the community in San Diego.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are close enough where you guys collab. Hey, we're gonna put this together.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it out.
I'm gonna DM her after
It needs to
this.
be heard. It needs to be heard. I know earlier you were talking a little bit when we were outside. You were talking about like dating and things like that. Like how people are, and especially with, because you train a lot of like males, you train athletes, you train like, but and then you were saying, it's people were thinking one thing about you
Yeah.
that isn't true. Why is that? Like, what do you think gave people that perception of like, oh, you said people, apparently I slept with everybody. Like, why do you think people even, like, where did that even come from?
I don't know. And like it comes.
And how did it get back to you?
I swear it comes from Mars. Like, but I hear everything. Like if somebody from LA said something about me,
Yeah.
like he said, the boxing world is small. It's gonna get back to me. So apparently every fighter, has been with me, and I'm like, yo, that sounds like an amazing love life. Let me know. I'm ready. Like, can we AI myself in that? Like, my goodness.
Sounds great.
Like, how amazing does that love life sound? I'm hopping in bed with every world champion there is. Like, why am I still driving a Challenger at this point? Like, come on. Like, be realistic. Make it. The math ain't mathin', y'all. Like, make it make sense, So I'm gonna let people say what they want to say. If I did or if I didn't, that's between me and Jesus Christ.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And if you want to make your life more appealing to talk about mine, that's a problem you have within
Of course.
yourself.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
So is it true that you and Manny Pacquiao? No, I'm just kidding.
Look, I call him my dad, and my dad gets so mad. He's like, "I'm your real dad," and I'm like, "Why are you so mad? It's a joke. Like, calm down. Like, calm down. Like, you're my real dad, right? You don't have to tell me that."
It's so funny too because like I do have a lot of Filipino friends and Manny Pacquiao is the same as like Canelo is for like the Hispanic. Like Canelo could do no wrong. Like the Bivol fight he won, even though very blatantly. But if you ask a Canelo fan, oh he won rounds same thing with Manny Pacquiao. Like a lot of people are just enamored with that.
Yep.
So do you find that like you're representing your culture well? Like do you have a lot of Filipinos that are like, hey, like you're really like shout out to you because you're a Filipino, make it in the business?
Yeah, I didn't think it would be so big because obviously Filipino women are not supposed to be in this sport, but the love is amazing. It's amazing, and I'm so happy it is the way that it is with my community of Filipinos.
Right.
So yeah,
I do love that culture. They will if you're Filipino and you're thriving, they will back you to no end. We went to the Jojo. Who do you fight? Merced. Was it Merced? I believe it was
in
Merced
Long Beach, yeah.
in Long Beach. We went to that boxing fight, and obviously we were Team Jojo, but the Filipinos that came out for that.
Oh my goodness.
There was a guy there that could barely even stand. He was in a wheelchair, and he had them wheel him to the front because he was walking out, so he can stand up and just kind of reach out. And I was like, man, Filipinos they're very prideful, right? They love their culture, but if you represent them, they will back you to no end. And I love to see it. So that's why I wondered if you got like a lot of people just
do.
I'm pretty sure that Filipino love is strong.
I do. Yeah.
Right. So one of the questions that we also had on here, once I find my phone.
Have you been back to the Philippines?
Not since I was 21.
Oh, wow.
And typically we don't really like ask a lot of like, hey, generic questions because we want this to be kind of fluid, which it's good at. But I know you kind of spoke on something that we had on here. So it's what's a crazy but true fact about you?
So I've been to jail.
Oh, what happened? Allegedly. What allegedly happened?
Yeah. You want to call your attorney first or?
So no. I put hands on somebody when I was training at my work, at my job site. She called my son, like we were arguing, and she put my son in the argument. So it's a lot of things that
Mama Bear came out.
Right. It's a lot of things you can't play me with. Like, don't talk about my one and only child. Like, and he's not even here to defend himself. He's like a kid. So, and even before that, like, she would get on my nerves, and I would just try my best to, dead the situation. But so anyways, long story short, I was in court for a whole year. I would literally go to court every month for this case. It was assault and battery. And I did 6 months. And then I had to do 90 days work release after. So all the counts were all misdemeanors, and they decided to add it all up and turn it into one felony.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yo, like, okay. So I had to issue a letter of apology. I had to pay her hospital bills. I had to
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I had to do everything. And I didn't have an attorney. I had a, what do you call those people?
Public defender.
A public defender. And my public defender was just like, just do what they say. And I'm like,
This is what you get paid for?
Yeah,
like, what the
literally.
heck? Like, I could have said that myself.
Yeah.
But they were saying that my hands were deadly weapons because I was training. And at that time, I was learning how to coach. So, but yeah, while I was at Undefeated, every Tuesday and Thursday, I would go to West Valley Detention Center. I would complete my work release after I got released, obviously. And I would go train kids right after. So from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., I was in the jail working. Then from 6 to 10, I was working at the gym.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
So
crazy.
you were in jail for 6 months.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that experience like?
It felt like 600 years
Wow.
because you don't have a sense of time in there.
Yeah.
So I was, and the food was just, what the fuck is that? Yeah.
Did anybody try and fight you in jail?
Yeah, 100%. But it never really, it always got broken up or it's,
Because it's like, did you find that it was very political in there too? Like what were the fights about?
well, obviously like the girls were with the girls
Yeah.
and the boys, the girls were with the girls and I don't know how to, I don't want
I
to say
understand.
yeah.
You don't want to
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I didn't know where to fit in, so I was just like, yo, like, I'm just gonna be by myself, and apparently that was an issue. If I talked to too many people, that was an issue, so, yeah.
Man, the politics of jail.
It's just wild.
How long ago was this? Undefeated, that was a while ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
So kind of recent a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
My probation just ended last year, actually. I was
Wow.
on summary probation.
So even as a coach, do your hands have to be registered?
I believe so, yeah, yeah.
I honestly did not know that was a real thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was just a pro.
No, I thought
It
like,
is.
I thought you had to have like a pro card. Like I could
Yeah. In
understand.
order for that
Yeah,
to
I
be
could understand like
So
like,
again, when they said that, I was like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
But I don't know. if
That
I
happened
should-
actually to my brother too. He got in a fight. Someone like wanted to fight him, so defending himself, he fought the person. Ended up putting the person in the hospital, and then they got him for assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
That being his fist.
Well, it didn't help that I look the way that I do. I have a lot of tattoos.
Yeah.
So when I walked up in front of the judge, she looked at me. She was like, and I was
Trouble.
like, dog, like,
Yeah, I mean that's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
a lot of times in the especially in the legal system, your first, you know, how you
First
look,
impression?
no, just how you look in general does
Yeah.
it does matter, you know.
Yeah.
And but I mean, man, you over your story, you got to write a book, Coach Cam.
Yeah.
You got to write a book. Chapter 1. I was in jail for 6 months. So
No, fresh off the boat. Chapter 1.
I
Fresh
know.
off the
Well,
boat.
when I was in West Valley doing the work release, that was more so it was mentally draining
Yeah.
as opposed to being 6 months
Yeah.
in the actual
Oh, wow.
prison. Because look, from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., let's say this is the jail. I'm cleaning this same table over and over again. I'm cleaning that table over and over again for hours. And then I get out and I got to train kids. Now my mind got to,
yeah.
Now you got to put on the
Back
face.
to
Right.
focus
Yeah.
and
Right.
patience and
Right.
And it's so I mean, when you say it, I can relate because you have to turn I have to turn the switch on every single time. But
Yeah.
most people that don't really that work I don't even like to say normal 9 to 5 because I always get shit from people. Like it's what I mean by
People
normal.
that work with people, you have to
Yeah.
turn it on and off.
Yeah, because like you said, you're a counselor, you're a
Yeah.
therapist, you're their coach, you're
And
kind
they
of
don't pay you to talk about your problems.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah,
pay
yeah.
you for their
like,
wanna-
your session ended an hour ago. We're 30 minutes past the hour already. But when I went to sign up for the work release, they said, listen, Cam, you can do 5 days a week to get it done quicker. But because I had to work, I was only able to do Thursday and Friday. So imagine doing Thursday and Friday every week, 90 days worth of it. And then I missed some days because I had to do things
That
for
was
my
at least
son.
probably
Yeah.
a year
It took
then,
me
right?
3 years to finish my everything. Yeah. I think, 2.5 years. Yeah.
Jeez, you
Yeah.
did that for 2.5 years.
Right.
So did anyone at the gym know? Like if you know you
No, they knew.
but they know you as a person. So they're not like
Oh, no,
well,
they weren't tripping.
yeah.
Like, they were like, damn, Coach Cam, you're dope. Like, empowerment. And I'm like, oh.
yeah, no, this isn't the road you want to go down.
Yeah. And then at the same time, there were officers there that followed me. Because when I was at Undefeated, I was already semi blowing up. So they were like, yo, I know you. And I'm like, oh,
Get me
my
out of here then.
God.
That's like Tyson being in jail. Everyone knows that you got them hands over there.
Yep.
Kind of switching gears. How does your son feel about you being Coach Cam? Like he's in high school, so I'm pretty sure a lot of his friends follow you. They're probably like have something to say about you. Like, how does he feel
That's a good question.
about you being Coach Cam to the world?
I can't post a selfie. I can't post like certain things because my son is like, yo, mom, my friends look at you. Like, he's like, yo, one of my friends was like, yo, your mom is hot. And he was like, mom, I wanted to fight him, mom. Like, what? And then at his school, they call him Coach Cam's son. And I'm like, man, that's rough. Like, my son has his own identity.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, he loves it, but at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword for him. So,
Especially him, like growing. He's a man now.
Right.
He wants to be the man in the house.
Yeah.
He wants to protect. He wants to take care of you now. I'm
Yeah.
sure too.
yeah.
Does he train?
He's a basketball player and a football player.
Yeah, he's tall.
Yeah.
He's a big kid. I saw.
He's like 6'3".
And he
Yeah.
just graduated. Mm-hmm. Nice. So what is he planning on doing after?
So he wants to go to Florida to be a doctor.
Ooh.
So mom and dad are
I didn't
Your
press
mom's-
that
your
on
mom's
him.
like,
She fed him the voodoo.
So is he going? He's going to go to school to be a doctor?
You're like, mom, that covers both of us now.
Yeah.
You're like, that's my backup plan. We
Right.
got it.
Have you ever had a chance to train him though?
Yeah, but for some reason, kids can't train with their parents.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't, like, literally. And people ask him all the time, yo, you got one of the best. Why won't you train with your mom? I don't want to train with my mom.
Yeah.
She telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I hired my mama trainer. My mom wanted to train, and I think I did like one session. She didn't listen to anything I said.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, I get paid for this, right?
Yeah.
So I hired another local trainer to train her, and of course,
I know. I
like,
had Karen. Remember Karen? She trained my mom.
Oh, yeah.
My mom would not listen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to train my mom before, and I was
Yeah.
like, Mom, she wouldn't listen. My mom actually a long time ago, because I had moved to Pomona, and she was all like, you need to train. She sent me your Instagram. This was a long today. She actually reminded me. I'm like, oh my god, that's so funny. She's like, you need to train with her to learn self-defense, because she was all scared that I was moving to the hood. So
Well,
funny.
Pomona is not
Pomona.
exactly Disneyland, so
Because I'm from Rancho too, so my whole
Right.
family lives in Rancho. When I moved there, she was like, "You need to train with her and learn self-defense." I was dying, and then here you are. So funny.
So again, on your stories and on your Instagram, you talk a lot about your business and some of your plans that you have. I feel like you like code. You're like, oh, wait till I grow bigger, wait till I franchise this or whatever it is. So right now you're putting in crazy amount of work. Where do you see your gym in like 5 years? Are you looking to like actually franchise them and open up a bunch of them? And
yeah.
tell me about that.
Yes. So that is my main goal. Well, my main goal is to have a world champion first and foremost, but I want to franchise the gym, and actually I want to connect with the city and create a house for other kids from other countries to come and use boxing as an outlet. You know, I see a lot of these kids from different countries. They're training with like tires, and they're training in the rocks. They're training on sand, and they message me. They're like, "Oh, Coach Cam," they send me their videos. Oh, wow. And I just want to do for them.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that right there is the reason why you're so successful.
Yeah.
To be honest, like it's
your heart.
It's
Yeah.
And I think, you know, as being a dad, I would feel comfortable in not even knowing that you had a son, because I didn't know that in the beginning. But there's something about like who you entrust your kids to be taught by.
Absolutely.
Right. Like I read somewhere that it's like the teachers in your school have a bigger influence on your children and the friends they hang out with than you do as a parent.
Yep.
So it's like fostering that community, which I think you've done a great job. I mean,
Thank you.
for a parent to be like, hey, you can have my kid on social media, you can train them and do that, they have total trust in you. And that's one of the rarest things, you know, because there's not a lot of, in this crazy world, there's not a lot of people I trust.
No.
You know, I mean, especially with my daughter. So the fact that so many people are so open about like, yeah, train my daughter, you know, or train my son, it speaks volumes to you as a person.
Thank you.
And
You know?
and I think the children probably grow up even respecting you so much too, because like you were saying earlier, like there are a lot of parents who don't like discipline their children or don't. So like you speak to them like they're
They're adults.
Yeah.
but you give them that discipline, but out of love, you know.
Right.
And a lot of kids they want that because
Yeah.
they're not getting that from home. So you probably help them in that way as well.
Yeah. I am an acquired taste, as people would say. I can be very, very strict. But I tell the kids, like, and I tell the parents, yo, it's better that they get it here
Yep.
than they get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get it out there, they know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so when
Tough love.
Yeah.
That's,
like,
I mean, but that's the truth.
yeah.
That is the truth. Like you were saying, like a 3-year-old is bullying another. Like my daughter goes to like a daycare, and that happens all the time. And she'll come home with, she came home with a scratch. Like, how'd you get that? I'm almost like, that's just kids. They're figuring out where their place is.
Yeah.
Right. Granted, if the kid's super physical all the time, there's an issue at home that you got to
Yep.
address. But for the most part, I love that, because that's the mentality, you should have, is like, I'm giving it to you hard because you're going to get it 10 times as
Yeah,
hard
right.
outside.
Yep.
And you're not going to have me behind you to coach you through this.
Yep.
So
Right.
it's a good attitude to have. And I mean, speaks volumes to why you're so successful. How many professionals are you training right now? And who do you have that's up and coming that we don't know about that we should be on the lookout for?
So right now, well, my amateurs are who I focus on. My professionals are kind of in limbo right now. But I do have Brandon Adams. He
Yeah.
fought Charlo and he won the title with Boacek, but he's like going through some issues. That's, I can't speak on that. But I do have amateurs right now that are up and coming. One is going to go pro pretty soon. His name is Brandon too, Brandon Sanchez. He's 11-0 and he's 19. So I was talking to his dad. I was like, yo, man, you got to go pro. Like, you're 19 years old. Because apparently in the threshold of boxing, when you turn 22 or 23, you're considered old already.
Yes.
So crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So, but yeah, I have worked with a lot of known professionals that also helped change my mitt game up. So yeah, Gabe Rosado being one of them. Maricela, she just fought Clarissa Shields.
I saw that one.
Great job, by the way. I mean, I know she didn't get the win, but
What I mean, Clarissa Shields is
yeah.
Beast.
So, just right now, I'm really focused on building fighters. Like we talked about out there, I hate it when people are like, well, you don't have world champions. And I'm like, the difference between me and you is I didn't get somebody good off the gate. I'm building these kids from the ground up. So now I know the foundation that I've laid for them. You can't build somebody up who already had a foundation elsewhere. There's no trust there.
Yeah.
There's no solidity. You know what I'm saying? It's not solid. So that's what I'm focused on right now.
Yeah, because you get a lot of those. I mean, Ryan Garcia just left his boxing coach, and
Yo, he left, then left again, and then left again, and I'm like, what the heck is
Yeah.
going on with you?
yeah,
Like,
there's the but to what you said, a lot of times you'll get a world champion that maybe had a bad fight. Everyone's telling them it's the camp, then they'll go to someone that's more established, like a Canelo's camp or whatever, and then they start training there. But what you're saying is like, I'm trying to build someone from amateur to pro to world champion, so you
Right.
can actually see that progression, and
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Build that trust.
Manny Pacquiao, his whole team started with him from when he was younger. He brought them from the Philippines and joined them with Freddie Roach.
Yep.
That's how you're supposed to do it. Loyalty is everything.
Yeah.
So,
He had
You're building
and-
loyalty.
and it's funny because you'll probably know there's a guy that was on his team. He was a chubbier guy,
boo boy.
and he was the one that would just kind of be there. And then I think Freddie Roach taught him how to do mitts.
Exactly.
And then towards the end of Manny Pacquiao's career, you would see, because Freddie Roach has his own health issues. That guy would be holding mitts, but he came with him from the
Yes.
Philippines, and I always thought that was really cool because he was just the guy on the side, the chubbier guy that would be there, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, he's holding mitts,
Yeah.
and Pacquiao wasn't holding back.
Right.
He was like really going full force. So yeah, it speaks volumes to what you say. You're trying to build a community, trying to build a team.
Yeah.
Right now in the world of boxing, there's been some like bad decisions, right? Where do you feel is the disconnect between the judge and the fighter, or is this just do you train your fighters and tell them, look, you gotta knock this person out, or you have, like, you can't just hold on, you think you have enough points? Like, how do you coach your fighters on that?
You know what? Like I said, a lot of people don't like me. Even in the amateur circuit, they don't like me for whatever reason they have. I had a fighter. He had 2 standing 8 counts, one in the first round and one in the third round. Guess who won the fight? Not my fighter.
Do they score it different?
Apparently, he didn't throw his jab enough.
Oh my God. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
It's weird. And I always
Right.
wondered that, like, as a coach, And like even when you saw the Devin Haney Lomachenko fight, like what's the discussion that you would have? Like if you were in Lomachenko's corner and you feel like he's winning on rounds, would you tell him, dude, he's a champion, he has a big name,
Yeah.
you got to knock him out, or is it something like play our game and whatever the end result is, it is?
I think Devin Haney's camp, well, let me start with Devin Haney. Devin Haney's camp probably told him, yo, Lomachenko likes to do X, Y, and Z. So we got to do A, B, and C, right? When A, B, and C wasn't working anymore and Lomachenko figured out Devin Haney by the third and the fourth round, what do you tell a fighter who, just because he has more fights than Lomachenko, does that mean he's better at ring generalship? Because I can have 20 fights, right? But every guy that I fought 20 times, I knocked him out every third round that came about. But Lomachenko had to fight some tough fights. He had to figure it out every single time. That's what made Lomachenko better than Devin Haney. For me, and I say this, I stand 10 toes on this. Lomachenko figured out Devin Haney and exposed Devin Haney. He let everyone know Devin Haney is not ready for the top. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, and as a fan watching, you can see the moment he figured him out, and then you can see Devin Haney's face because he's always confident. I mean, Devin Haney's been on top forever.
Yeah.
So you saw the moment where he was like, "Holy shit!" I think he even said that in his corner.
He said it in his corner. He was like, yo, it's not working no more.
No, he even said he figured, like, he didn't say he figured me out, but he said he knows what I'm going to do next. So it was like, and I know I went on your Instagram right away and you're like, that was a robbery. And I was like, I agree. Like I really think Lomachenko took that. So now, like, I feel like that 140, that 130, there's a lot of good fighters. Again, we've had JoJo on here before. How do you see them stacked? Like, you see like a Stevenson, and then you see Haney, or do you see that fight going down? And who do you have?
Stevenson and Haney? I think Stevenson is going to beat Haney. That's how I feel. Stevenson is a genuine boxer. He is the perfect example of somebody that sets you up and breaks you right down. So
He hasn't really had a tough fight though.
no, he hasn't had a tough fight, but I feel like his boxing IQ is very high, and it could get higher as he progresses. Like he fought what's his name? Oh my God, that Mexican fighter.
I don't. Yeah.
Not Cepeda. I can't think of the name on the top. I was just talking to one of my boys about that too. He fought somebody he's a big fighter. I gotta Google it now that I think about it. And he made him look like an amateur. But dude is like a champion. So I mean, but boxing can go either way. Like, so you never know. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
true.
And as a coach, you hear a lot of people talk about Ryan Garcia, his footwork, his hand placement when he's throwing. If you were like a coach of Ryan Garcia, like what's one thing that you would definitely try to work on and improve on him?
Ryan Garcia is so talented.
Very.
He's so talented, and I don't like it when people talk bad about him or any other fighter, because it takes a lot of guts to even get in there in the first
Facts.
place. But I think Ryan's game does not need to be attacked in the ring. It needs to be attacked outside of the ring. He has a lot of mental stuff going on that can hinder his greatness. Because I know one of Ryan's best friends, and he tells me all the time, like, yo, Cam, Ryan is going through it right now. So I don't even think switching coaches was to help build his boxing. I think switching coaches was to help build his trust within people. So
Yeah, because they did after that. I mean, after that press conference that he had, nobody showed up from his side of the camp, and that has to be disheartening.
Yeah, nobody was there.
I mean, and this is the thing with Ryan Garcia. A lot of people talk bad about him, but for him to call out Tank, push for that fight, agree to the clause.
There were so many clauses.
The hydration
Yeah.
clause,
Right.
And Floyd Mayweather is like the king of that. Like,
Yeah.
like when you rehydrate, you still have to be at this weight, and that's so exhausting. for somebody.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, it takes, and like what Ryan Garcia was saying, like, I'm trying to bring the sport back, and I give him credit for that. Unfortunately, he fell short. Tank is a beast in himself, but
Yep.
I think when he showed up to that press conference, and now you see him and Oscar De La Hoya kind of going at it on Instagram, it's kind of a weird situation now, but he's been very open about his own mental health and things that he's going through. So if the temple's not right, then how could you perform at that level?
And it
was
just goes
so-
back to what you said earlier too about the loyalty and
Yeah, he was so pale that day too.
Well, I mean, he's a big guy, and for him to hydrate back to like for him to agree to that hydration clause but he knew that's the only way he was going to get that fight.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I like to see where you kind of stand. So how do you feel about the Tank? Where do you think Tank ranks with everybody?
Isn't Tank in jail right now?
He is, but he's gonna get out. Obviously, I think he's doing the same thing. I think he's
mean,
doing
I'm
6
just
months.
saying,
Yeah,
like-
he's doing 6 months. Yeah. So he's in there chilling right now,
Jesus.
doing push-ups and pull-ups.
Oh my gosh. No, Tank is a great fighter too. You asked me what I think about him.
Well, how do you think he stacks up, like, to the Devin Haney's, to the Stevensons, to the Lomachenkos, to those guys?
Ugh, I don't know. If Tank were to go with Lomachenko, that would be a great fight.
Great
I
fight.
think it'll go like obviously all 12 rounds, but I don't know. You can't ask me that because I'm a Tank fan. Like, I'm a huge Gervonta fan, but this goes back to like Lomachenko's ring, like the way he maneuvers in the ring. He's like a ringleader, man.
Yeah.
You know, like it's his circus, bruh. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Tank is quick though,
But,
so he might.
but Loma got a chin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he
that's a
went. He
shame.
went and did his thing with the army. Was it the army or?
Yeah, so those of you guys that aren't familiar with like Lomachenko, he's like a world championship boxer, but his dad made him stop boxing for, I believe it was 2 to 3 years, to do ballet, to do a form of dance, because he said until you get that footwork down. So he put him in dance, and then he came back, and then he won world titles, and then he left to fight for his country, Ukraine,
Yeah.
and then he came back to try to win another world title. So man, that guy gets everybody's respect.
Yeah.
And it goes back to you. You have a dancing background. I know you talk a lot about like even learning the footwork is like dancing. So anyone that has a dancing background, I think that does translate pretty well to the boxing. So, I mean, for me, it's been a pleasure to have you
Yes,
on this.
it's been great.
you.
I selfishly can ask you questions about boxing all day, but I can see that Amherst is like, Loma, who? So we're going to stop it there. But I'm going to leave it to you. What are some things that you want to leave to the people that maybe never heard of you before? This is their first time, and this is their first experience with you. Like, what's something that you want to leave them with?
Always do what you want. Always live your dream, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Yeah.
I mean, you're living proof. So
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. I love that.
Again, you guys, we're gonna put all her social medias on the YouTube, but I'm pretty sure most of you guys follow her already because I've gotten all the DMs about
Same.
how did you
Yeah.
get her?
I love her, everyone. I love her. Yep.
So I mean, we appreciate you coming on. I know how busy you are. I know how well you're loved. So until next time, you guys, thank you for tuning in.
Bye.